Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Albert Spiegel. I'm a member of the class of 1995, and I'm the Director of Technology, finishing year 17 at BC. And I think Duke will be joining us for most of our Tech Tuesdays. Hopefully he doesn't decide to get a little rambunctious, but he's right behind me. So the idea of doing these Tech Tuesdays is I want you to come to school in September prepared. Okay. Normally what we would do is a lot of this stuff we would cover in like a 2 to 3 hour span on your second day of school. And last year we kind of had to do it this way, and we really liked how it turned out because your class, I mean, the freshmen were very well prepared coming in terms of what they needed for technology. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of these throughout the summer, and we'll focus on different topics. We'll record them all. We will share them with you. We'll share the slides with you. So the goal is by September, you really have a good feel for everything technology related, right? So what I want to do tonight is I want to just talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about, this is the kind of stuff that I would have normally talked about at like our pre-orientation, stuff that I would talk about right around this time. We'll talk about tech support and devices for next year, ID cards, and your email. We actually are not going to talk about ParaSchool tonight. That's going to be for the next go around because we're going to save that. But we're going to talk about your email, which is probably one of the most important pieces you need to know. Okay? You can't. The volume is so low on my side. Okay, let me see if I can't not turn up my volume. Okay. Perhaps I should speak louder. Let's just turn up my volume a little bit. Audio. Okay. 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 So I'll try and hug the microphone. All right. So what I want to talk about, I want to just go through. Let's see if Mr. Burles is on. I don't see him. Okay. One of the things that I really want you to be aware of, okay, is that throughout this whole process, throughout the entire summer and into the start of the school year, you're not alone in terms of if you have questions. I don't want you to ever walk away from one of these with questions or something you're not sure of. All right. We provide a good amount of opportunity for you to ask questions and to make sure you understand. Hold on. The volume is still low. Use that. Okay. Volume is, if you're having trouble hearing any, just turn up your speaker a little bit. I'm trying to hug the microphone as much as I can here. So if you have any questions, all right, we have a virtual help desk that we run. We've been running now since really a year ago, March, and that's helpdesk@bergencatholic.org. Starting next week, that will be staffed Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean if you send an email, later on, you might get a response. Okay. But generally, we'll start our summer hours next week because our students finish tomorrow. So we'll start on summer hours, 8 to 1, Monday through Thursday, on Monday the 14th. Right. So if you have questions, you want to get, if you want to email, you could certainly email Mr. Burles, who is the manager of our Technology Support Center. Okay. He's the one that will be your point of contact for any questions you have with getting accounts set up, with devices, anything like that, right? So he'll definitely be your main point of contact. If you have questions, you can the best thing to do is email, because I have a group of a combination of graduates and also current students that work for the IT office, and they'll be more than willing to spend time with you and answer questions if you have them. It's really important that, you take advantage of that. Don't wait for stuff to pile up and then it's the end of August and you don't know how to see your schedule, or you can't get on Blackboard or your email or whatever. Let's make sure that as we go piece by piece with each thing, that you're able to get on and get everything working, right? So I want to talk first about the devices for next year. Your devices for next year are There's two, and it's pretty much similar models to what we're using right now. It's a 13-inch MacBook Air and a 10.2-inch 7th generation iPad. What is nice, this is the second year we're able to do this. We're able to offer 4 years of Apple Care Plus on both devices. Okay, so that means damage protection, okay, which we were never able to offer that on the MacBook because the prices that Apple set were so astronomically high. Okay, so what you get and I'll talk about the options. Generally, you should have filled out a survey already asking you for your purchase preference, whether you're going to buy both devices from us, one device from us, or bring your own. Okay. So what I'm talking about now is for those of you that chose that option one, if you're going to bring your own device, or excuse me, if you're buying our devices, this is the package that you're going to get. What's nice about the MacBook is that you get battery service coverage. I actually had it on my school MacBook. I brought it to the Apple store. This was probably last spring, and they actually had it maybe for a day, but they replaced the battery because it was covered under warranty. Because the battery was, it wouldn't hold a charge. But so that's part of the, the package. So if you get the device from us, and granted, we don't make any money doing this, you get 4 years of Apple Care Plus. The MacBook has 2 incidents of accidental damage per life of the device. The iPad has 2 incidents of accidental damage per year. Okay. So in theory, you could break your device twice a year and get a new one. Okay. I'm not suggesting you do that. The other nice thing this year is that there's no service fee to fix your iPad. Okay. So if it's, a Friday afternoon at 6 o'clock and, your little brother, he has your iPad and he drops it and it cracks, you take it to the Apple store. There's no service fee to fix it. They're generally not going to repair an iPad. They're just going to give you a new one, and that'll count towards your accidental damage. You get those 2 breaks. Okay. So it's really probably one of the best offers we've ever had in terms of device protection. We want to make sure that, your devices are always in good working order. And we'll talk later on in the summer about how to care for them once you have them in hand. But it's really important that you care for them. If you order the iPad from us, you'll also get a Logitech rugged Combo 3 case with a smart keyboard. Okay, so that's also included as part of the bundle, and that bundle is $1,500. Okay, and I think on the next slide, I'll give you your 4 options. Okay, so you've seen this already. You've chosen this already. One of these 4. Either you've purchased the bundle from us, so that would be both the MacBook and the iPad, which I just described. You have purchased the MacBook from us, and you'll provide your own iPad. Okay. The opposite, you've purchased an iPad from us, or you'll bring your own MacBook, or you'll provide your own devices. Okay. For options either 1, 2, or 3, you will pay as part of your tuition. It'll be billed in TADS. It's not part of your tuition, but you'll be billed in the TADS system when you go to make your tuition payments. Okay, there'll be a separate fee for laptops based on the answer you gave to that survey. Okay. Now, what's important is we're going to hold you to that survey. So if you said, I'm bringing my own devices, we just bought laptops. I just made the order last week. Okay. So we're counting on you to bring that device. Okay. Because we ordered based on what the results of that survey. Okay. So if something changes, you need to let us know. Okay. But for right now, based on everybody who completed that survey, we've made our initial order with Apple. And the reason we're doing it, really early is because there's a long lead time for Apple. Okay. Getting the devices configured and shipped to us, it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. So that's why we're trying to get this done, and we made phone calls and emails and all that as quickly as possible. Okay. So you'll pay for that in TADS, and then we'll set up a time. Probably my hope is around July 20th. That's kind of my target. I'm hoping to have your devices out to you. It may be sooner, it may be later. It really depends on the shipping from Apple and how long it takes the devices to get to us. Okay, so once they get to us, we'll prepare them, and then we'll let you know they're ready, and we'll advise you how we're gonna do pickup. Okay. One of the things, if you have decided on options, either 2, 3, or 4. I'm sorry. For option 1, These are the specs. If you are, this is what you're getting from option one. This is a little bit more of a technical specification for each of the devices. If you are bringing your own, this will help you, in terms of what the current students are getting. I can tell you won't get the 4 years of Apple Care Plus because that's an educational deal that's generally not available to the general consumer public. So these are the specs and what the specs look like. If you chose option 4, which means you're going to bring either one or both of your own devices, these are the minimum standards that we're looking for. All right. Now, anything for the most part, a MacBook that I can get this year Big Sur on, and an iPad that I can get iOS 14 on. Okay. And all of these should do that. Okay. You also want to think about, well, yeah, it might be cost effective. Oh, I could, I have an iPad that's a few years old. You want to think about, or a MacBook for that matter, think about battery life. I think about the wear and tear. Does everything work the way it should? What kind of battery life am I getting? Well, I'm using a used MacBook, but I'm getting maybe 2 hours on a battery. You don't want to have to plug in every day and run the risk if you're not going to be able to plug it. Okay. If you bring your own device, just keep in mind a couple of things. We will manage and supervise that device. So we'll install software and configuration profiles on that device that allow us to manage it. Okay, regardless of if it's your device or if it's a device you purchased through Bergen Catholic. We can't support as much. We generally don't do hardware repairs in the building. We'll send you off to Apple. Now, if you purchase from us, we know you have a 4-year, you have Apple Care Plus on both devices. I don't know what you're coming in with if you bring your own device. Okay, so you'll have to manage that on your own. And just be prepared. You may have to pay out of pocket if your laptop or iPad gets damaged and there's no warranty protection on it. What Mr. Burles will do for you, let me go back and check and see if he snuck in and I didn't see him. No, he didn't. He's going to, you'll arrange your drop-offs with him. So you'll contact him and, here's, I want to drop off my, my MacBook and iPad. And I want to say we'll probably won't start that until about the 20th of June, because we need to get the current students, their last day is tomorrow, and we need to kind of finish, kind of close out the year, and then we'll get into that process. And we'll contact you, either myself or Mr. Rose will contact you and advise you what that process will be. It'll be during those hours. You'll do a drop off. You'll have to leave the devices. We'll prepare them and get them back to you. All right. That is, any questions on devices? If you have a question and you want to just chime in, I can certainly, before I start moving on to other stuff, be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
A quick question. If you already selected option number 4 before and then changed our mind, what's the latest we can do to you?
Well, I would say Mr. Rose and Mr. Leonard are gatekeepers of that form that they sent out. I would send an email to myself and also to Mr. Burles and just let us know that you've changed your mind so we can allocate accordingly. Okay. Yeah, I do that. You want to make sure that's, and the only reason that I push for that is because of the lead times from Apple. And as we get later on to the summer, the lead times generally get higher.
Yeah, I think we're just getting more information based on what you said today, and I think it's kind of like it's interesting. But sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Other questions I can answer about devices before we move forward? Any other questions about devices? Okay. And you'll certainly have time to ask.
There's a question on the chat.
There's a question. When we get billed, I want to say it's the July. In your July statement, you'll get billed for the laptop because that goes through TADS, and we've done June. I believe it's July because that's the start of the new year, so it'll be in the July statement. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's go back to.
Yeah, I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
When you get the bill for the laptop, is there a way to set up like a payment plan, or do you have to pay it all at once?
That's a question for the business office. I don't know if there's. I think it depends on I think it depends on your tuition. I don't want to say the wrong thing. That's a question for Mrs. McConville in the business office, because she does tuition and accounts receivable. So you want to reach out to her, and let me throw her email in the chat. Let's see. Kathy McConville, tuition office, and she's CMC at BergenCatholic.org. I put her information in the chat.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Any other questions about devices?
One more thing regarding earlier you said that for iPad there is for accidental there is no fee, like 2 times a year, but the MacBook seems to be there is a fee.
Yeah, the MacBook there'll be a depending on what it is you're going. If it's warranty covered, if it's not damaged, generally you won't pay. Depending on if there's damage and it's significant, they might charge you maybe $50 or upwards or $100, depending on what it is and how bad it is. So that's something set by Apple.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Back. I want to talk of ID cards. This is one of those, another one we want to try and get done during the summer. And ideally, I'd like to hand you an ID card when you come in to pick up your devices. Okay, so what I need you to do, and we actually changed, I didn't update the slide. We actually changed the ID card now to a, there we go. It's now a vertical. So what I need you to do is take a vertical headshot of yourself. Okay. And the one that I have is, on the screen. We did change the way the ID card looks, but it doesn't matter. It still needs to be a vertical headshot. Ideally in a red Bergen golf shirt. Now, don't go crazy. If you don't have a golf shirt, you don't have a red one, it's fine. Ideally, so we all kind of look the same, okay? But it's okay if you don't have one. It's fine, all right? Take a headshot like that, ideally against like a white or a light background, non-wallpaper, like a solid color. And you're going to email that to helpdesk@bergencatholic.org. Okay. If you're taking this with an iPhone, please make sure you turn off live pick. Okay. So you're sending it as a JPEG. I'd ask for these by July 7th, and we'll put this out to the entire, freshman class. But I ideally like them by July 7th. What this will allow us to do is we can print your ID cards and get them ready for you. So when you pick up your devices, you can get your ID card. Okay. It is, I had a train of thought, something I should have wrote down in there and I just lost it. It'll come back to me. It's important that you send the picture. These pictures also help. We populate PowerSchool with them so that your teachers can see what you look like. So on the first day, they can have seating charts and stuff arranged for you based on they know who you are. All right. And it's really important that you get it in. It will not take long. It's not a big deal. That's what I was going to say. Please, if your student's last name is different than your last name, please make sure you include your student's full name. Okay. Because sometimes we'll get a picture from a parent and we can't immediately match the parent to a student. Okay. So, excuse me, it's really important that you put in a name. I'm just looking at the chat. The bookstore at Bergen sells the red polo shirts. You will get information from Mr. Powers about, when he'll be in and sales and all that kind of stuff. But you'll have, plenty of time. And he does some, I know he does hours in August, so no worries. Again, I don't want to set off a panic. Doesn't have to be red. It's nice if it is, doesn't have to be. Okay. It's trust me, it's fine. Just so the idea is that, every kid kind of looks the same. And it's also, based on the sample picture I have, you can kind of clearly make out my face. Ideally 2 boys, you should be clean shaven when you take that picture. I know I'm not the poster child for that, but you need to be clean shaven when you take that picture. Okay. All right. And ideally, like I said, just email them by July 7th. That'd be wonderful. All right. What I want to spend a couple minutes talking about is your Bergen Catholic email address. Okay. Your Bergen email address is really, really important. Okay. For a bunch of reasons. Number one, that is how we will communicate with you throughout the school year. Okay. We don't ask for your personal address. We know that every Bergen Catholic student has the same formatted address. It's your first initial, your full last name, the last two numbers of your graduation year at BergenCatholicHS.org. Right. So if I was a freshman, mine would be aspiegel25 at BergenCatholicHS.org. Right. It's a Gmail address. You use it exactly like you would Gmail. Okay. Nothing is different. So if you have Gmail, it's going to look exactly the same. Right. What you can do is at your leisure, you could do it right now. You could do it tonight. You could do it tomorrow or whenever. It doesn't matter. I'd like you to log into that email address. Okay. Very simple. You're going to go to Gmail. You'll type in that email address. Okay. Everybody in the class is first initial, full last name at BergenCatholicHS.org. Excuse me. First initial, full last name, 25 at BergenCatholicHS.org. Okay. Everybody's initial password is, nope, wrong computer, is Bergen12. Bergen12 is your initial password. Okay. That'll get you in. If your name has, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for the email, you said like your full last name, but I have two last names that are hyphenated together legally. So what I use the first one?
Take the hyphen. It would. I was just about to say, if you have an apostrophe, a hyphen, any punctuation mark in your last name, that would be removed because the system can't handle that. Okay, so it would be your full last name without the hyphen.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so it doesn't. You know, if you try it and it doesn't immediately work, that's why we have the help desk. Reach out to the help desk and they'll be able to walk you through. And I know I've got guys who were actually this week have been itching for work. So the more you pepper them with questions, the more the more work they can do. That email is going to become your lifeblood. We send, Mr. McElhenney will send stuff to students, more often than not. You'll get announcements through there. You'll get stuff from your classes through there. That's something that you, I'll go back to that one in a second. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You want to have access to that email all the time. When you create the account, the first time it's going to say to you, it's going to say, welcome to your new account. You have to accept Google's terms of services. Nothing to do with Bergen Catholic. That's just them. Okay. And then you only have to do that once. And then once you do that, you'll have to choose a password. Okay. You're going to change your password. I don't know what that is. And I don't want to know what it is. Okay? We have the ability to change it if you forget it. All right. But you need to choose something that is at least 8 characters. It shouldn't be something that's easily guessable. Something, it should be unique, something unique to you. All right. What's also important is you add no reply at BergenCatholicHS.org to your contact list, because that's where we send things like report cards from and transcripts and important information that comes from that no reply address. Okay. So please definitely, make sure you can get into that email address. Okay. And you won't see anything. There probably won't be anything there except the welcome from Google. Okay. But we will start to send you stuff now that it's out there. This is your first important piece. Why it's important now is because as we go through the summer, the next time we have another Tech Tuesday in a few weeks, when we talk about Naviance this year will become single sign-on. So you're not going to need a separate account. You'll use your Bergen email. Okay. When we talk about Blackboard in July, same thing. That'll be single sign-on. Okay. So you won't need to remember, a password for Blackboard. All right. We're trying to streamline this year as much as we can to use that Bergen email address for single sign-on. So those two systems, Naviance and Blackboard, will become single sign-on. Right. And that'll become school-wide too. Right. So it's not just for the incoming class. It'll be all the current students as well. Right. So once you create that, I would make sure that you put that email address on your phone or your iPad, or if not, you're checking it regularly. Okay. I'm just looking at the chat. Yeah, you email address. Can you repeat email? It's your first initial, full last name, 25 BergenCatholicHS.org, and I can actually put that back on the screen. And Bergen12, you're correct as starting password. So that's what it would look like. Your first initial, full last name, 25 BergenCatholicHS.org. Please be mindful that we have 2 different domains. The Bergen Catholic HS domain is for all our students. BergenCatholic.org is all our employees. So we have 2 different domains. All right. So this domain is a student domain that's separate from the teacher domain. Okay. I'll give you a minute if because I don't have much more to go through. If you want to, get onto that account and, if you're having problems, again, it'll be help desk, but I can certainly answer questions about it. But it's really important that you access that and you're checking it all the time. It becomes like any other. It's like your work email. Okay, you'll have it on your phone or you'll have it someplace handy that you're going to check it. All right. So again, it's A Spiegel, first initial, full last name, 25 BergenCatholicHS.org, and then Bergen 12. If you're having an issue, if you recently registered, I think we ran these about a week ago. So if you registered very recently, your account may not have been created yet, but that's something Mr. Burrows can do for you rather quickly. Okay. And again, make sure the password, if you forget the password, it's not a big deal because we can reset it. Okay. But it's important that it's not, you can't make it password. There has to be a little bit of difficulty in the password itself. Should the BC email be students' Apple ID and devices? Yeah, when we get to Apple IDs in August, which I know seems like forever and a day away, you're going to use that Bergen email to create your Apple IDs. Okay, that's also why it's important. You'll create an Apple ID that's the same as your Bergen email, and that's what you'll use to sign into your MacBook and your iPad, rather than using a personal one. Okay, so you definitely want to have that. That will be your Apple ID. Once we get your devices in hand.
I'm sorry. Did you say that the Apple ID should be the one with this Bergen Catholic?
Yeah. When we get to that, we're going to spend a whole Tech Tuesday just talking about Apple IDs and creating them, because one of the big things, we don't create managed Apple IDs for the students. We let you create your own, is because that Find My device, Find My iPhone, Find My iPad, is really it's limited when we use managed Apple IDs, which I still don't understand why, but it's Apple. They make the rules. So we'll walk you through how to create your own Apple IDs and then tie them to your devices. That'll be in late August. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Can I show slide 3 again? I absolutely can. I also did give you the link, which you can grab these slides at any time. I'm thinking you're looking for the tech support slide, which would be that one. That's number 3. Or do you want the devices? Devices. Okay. There you go. That's what we have next year. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. His name is not working.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, is it the junior in the last at the last name or
There's
without?
no, if you have a suffix, we can't put the suffix in. So it's just first initial, full last name. Okay.
Okay.
Can you send the slide link, please? Yeah, let me put the slide link in the chat. It's a tiny URL, but let me throw that in there. Do that. I just put the link for the slides in the chat. Yeah, and as far as I remember when I did the emails, there's nobody that would have anything other than first initial, full last name. There's no deviations because there's like 2 people with the same name or anything. Okay, so like I said, my goal is to do these. I don't want them to be super long. That's really, I think, all I have. I'm going to give you the remaining dates. But the big thing is your email address. That's step 1. All right. What'll happen I'm going to do another one in, I guess that's 2 weeks. And we're going to talk about PowerSchool and Naviance. Now, PowerSchool is where you'll see your schedules and courses and all that. What I need to do first is finish the school year, close the school year out, make next year's school year and close everything so that you show up as a freshman, because right now you're considered a pre-registered student in PowerSchool, right? So I want to close the year out first. Now in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about PowerSchool, how to get on PowerSchool, and that'll be easy. And then we're also going to talk about Naviance. I'll show you how to get on Naviance. And also Miss Beth Walter, who is our director of college counseling, is going to talk a little bit about using Naviance and our Crusader College counseling experience. So she'll be here on the 22nd. The remaining stuff, the dates I'm pretty solid on. The topics may or may not change. I think we're good where they are. And we'll talk in July about Blackboard because we're rolling over our Blackboard host, and that'll happen the week of the 16th. It's targeted to around July 16th. So by that Tuesday, we should have everything rolled over. And we'll spend some time talking about Blackboard. We'll talk about your devices and then backups and stuff like that in August, Apple IDs, and then e-textbooks. Mr. Powers, who runs the bookstore as well as coordinates all your textbooks, will be here to talk about how to access your ebooks. Right? Everything is electronic. There's no physical textbooks. All right. Every time we do one of these, it starts at 6:30. And generally my goal is no more than an hour. Okay. Excuse me, we're actually done in a half hour. That's pretty good. I want to try and give you snippets and not, throw a whole bunch of stuff at once. Okay. So what I will do is I'll stick around if you have any questions. We will get, I don't know, I can't speak for Mr. Rosa, but I know we'll get this recording out to you once I put it up on YouTube. We'll get this out to you. So if you want to watch it again, or anybody who didn't see it can see for the first time, that's fine. And then certainly starting tomorrow, it'll be the same link each Tech Tuesday. I think I made, did I make a short? I think I gave Mr. Rosa did I give him a tiny URL? No, I think I gave you the long Zoom, but it's the same. Yeah, it'll be the same Zoom room for each session.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, sorry to cut you off. When you put it on YouTube, can you put in the chat like how the name or the title?
Oh yeah, as in terms of what this is Tech Tuesday for June 8th, and the description will be email and devices. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that gets out there. And it'll be on our BCTV YouTube channel as well, where it'll live. But yeah, we'll get that out to you. Next, I don't know when the next time Mr. Rose has got an email sent ready for, but probably I can get that cleaned up in a day or so. Yes, you'll get again, I don't want to speak for Mr. Rosa, but I know once we convert Power School and I move you up to freshman, I can send them out as well. So yes, you'll get a reminder from somebody that says there's an upcoming Tech Tuesday. And don't fear if you miss it or you come late, because we're recording it and we'll be able to to go back and watch it again. So I don't want you to ever feel that you have to be on. It's nice, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Right? Your laptop stops working during the school year. Do you loan around? We do have limited availability for loaners. It depends on what happens and how serious it is, and what we have available. Sometimes we have a limited supply of loaners, and sometimes they're all out with other students. But we will try to give you something to use, in the interim if you have a problem with your device. Generally, I've noticed the trend that students have been really good with their devices. The worst thing I've seen is, they forget to charge, or they plain out forget their device, period. But I haven't seen a lot of, it's got to go to Apple because it doesn't work right or something like that. So they're good. Ask again, please provide the slide with the link for how to access the PowerPoint. Sure, I can do that. I think that's in the chat. But I'll send it again. The slide URLs will change for each one. They'll probably follow the same format, but they will change. And let's send this to, where's everyone?
Albert, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Regarding the MacBook and the iPad, I did a survey and I said that I want only the MacBook, but I just realized that the iPad that I have is sixth generation, so it doesn't work. It doesn't have the same specification that you needed for this year. So I need to get the whole thing.
This is anything that I'll take. So if your device, if it's a 6th gen, that's fine. It'll work. It's not the latest and greatest, but it'll definitely work. So that's, if you're going to change your mind on that survey, you're going to have to reach out. I want to say to Mr. Rosa or Mr. Leonard, because they still have they're still the gatekeepers of that survey. So I want you to reach out to one of them if you're going to.
Okay, yeah, because I think that I need to get both. So
Okay.
I'm going to be safe for years.
Yeah, and like I said, it's ideally, we'd be making a bundle of money on these. We're really not. And it's really it just helps us from an institutional standpoint. You're not, we're buying them in bulk. And then we can also it's easier, God forbid, if something happens to it, we have the proof of purchase and all that. It helps. So, but again,
Okay, so
it's
I need to
up
send an
you.
email to Mr. Rosa.
Yeah, Mr. Rosa, yeah, and then just let him know that you're changing your mind.
Okay.
And that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Any other questions that I can answer?
Mr. Speaker, is the loaner even if is going to be given even if the student doesn't purchase the MacBook from the school?
Yeah, loaners are loaners. Yeah,
Okay.
That's a given. As long as we have stuff available, that's fine. Yeah, we don't discriminate based on if you bought it from us or if you bring your own.
Sounds good.
Good question.
Another
Yeah,
thing,
first question. That was a good question. Go ahead.
on the pack, I'm sorry, on the package there is it says that the iPad comes with the keyboard case.
Yes.
Is that required actually, or it's just?
It's not required. It actually we get a discount when we purchase that bundle or that package. So it's not required. A lot of our students find that they like it, especially when we do when they do testing on Exemplify and they do the iPad. Sometimes they like to type with a keyboard. It's not required, but it's in the package. So that's why if you purchase from us, you get it thrown in there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
By the way, I also noticed that over here it's a 7th gen, but actually the number that was sent by Mr. Rosa's email, it was actually the 8th generation. I'm not sure if it's just not updated here.
Okay. I'll take it off the slides, but I don't know if maybe I might have missed it, but it should be by now an 8th generation. Any other questions I can answer?
Hi, I have a quick question. So if I just purchased a brand new on my own iPad and the Air whatever it is, Mac Air, whatever the laptop.
MacBook Air, yep, sure.
That's exactly according to your specifications. Do I
Okay.
drop it off brand new in the box to be calibrated?
Yeah,
or
that's
should I
fine.
have him-
I mean, if you're dropping off a device, ideally you want to make sure it's labeled and make sure that it's, ideally if it's in a case or if you have the original box, that's fine. But that, yeah, you don't need to unbox it. We can do what we need to. Might be safer just to bring it in the box when we get back to in the box.
Right. Okay. So don't add the Apple. I know that you said you're going to go over the Apple ID in August, but should I have him set it up on his own?
You can if you
with-
want. There's really nothing, and I've always said this now, going on year 18 in the fall. You can't do anything that we can't fix unless you lose it.
Okay,
Right?
good to know
There's
because
really
I can't fix
nothing-
anything.
yeah. There's really nothing that you can't do that between what I have at Bergen and the support I have with Apple that we can't fix unless you lose it. That's a different story. I can't help if it gets lost or if it gets stolen. I can help everything else. Okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and do your Apple ID, by all means, and we'll be taking that. Like I said, that'll be one of our Tech Tuesdays is just doing that. So, but yeah,
Okay.
go right ahead. And definitely once you get the devices, I want you to use them and get familiar with them. So, it's not, at one point when we were using IBMs years and years ago, you didn't get them until 3 weeks into school. So, we've come a long way since then. So,
Okay, so if I have him add the Bergen Catholic email as the Apple ID, and obviously I would have to tack on, I guess, add his Apple ID and the password when I drop it off in order for you guys to access it?
yeah, you'd have to give us you'd have to create the Bergen Apple ID, and then you'd have to give us the Apple ID and the password. Correct. And
Okay.
and no two-factor authentication. So
no
if we sign in, we don't want a text going to your cell phone when we're trying to sign in. So yeah, we don't want that set up before we
Okay.
get the device. You know,
And then-
afterwards, that's fine.
Okay, and then also if I purchase the extra Apple Care, do I need to submit that to you as well? So if something goes
No,
wrong?
no, that's all on you. If you're bringing your own devices, what you warranty or don't warranty is all up to you.
So if something goes wrong within the 4 years and I do have the extra Apple Care, he could still bring it to the facility.
Well,
the
yeah, you're going to bring it right to the Apple store. You're not going to, you know, there's very, other than us kind of flushing software, there's very little. We don't do hardware repair. A, because we would void the warranty. And B, I found that it's really, you know, taking it to an Apple store is really the best thing. Excuse me, regardless of what your problem is, because they'll diagnose and they can fix and replace parts and all that much more expeditiously than we can. So, yeah, it wouldn't, that wouldn't matter whether it's yours or whether it's one of ours. The
Okay.
best route's going to be the Apple store.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm. What else can I answer?
I'm sorry, just following up. I'm sorry, I have so many questions.
That's
Just
all right.
following up on the
I
last
get paid by
question.
the questions. Great.
That's
Dr.
good.
Mahoney's getting a big bill tomorrow. So
So if you purchase the device from school, even if it's a hardware issue, we still need to bring it to Apple Store ourselves, or the school will take care of it.
yeah, I'm sorry. If what kind of problem?
If it's a hardware problem, but
Yeah,
the-
if it's a hardware problem, Apple is going to be now. I kind of have to say, you know, if you if you want to take it to Best Buy and let Geek Squad work on it because they're Apple, you know, authorized providers, that's fine. If you want to take it to an Apple authorized service provider that's not, you know, the Apple store, that's fine too. Okay, that, you know, it doesn't. You need to come every day with a working MacBook and a working iPad. Okay,
I see.
and our definition of working is it's not broken, it's not cracked. You know, you can see the screen, it's operable. You know, it's not a subjective you know, oh, it works even though there's, you know, 3 cracks in it. So how you get it fixed is up to you. We provide, and the devices that we purchase, you know, we have that Apple Care. But if you don't, then it's just up to you to figure out what's the best way to get that fixed. I will tell you that I've had, I don't, the years kind of blend now, but I do remember a kid coming in with his own his MacBook. I want to say on like the second day, he cracked the screen. He didn't have Apple Care. That was like an $800 bill. It's cheaper to go out and buy a $1,100 or $1,200 new laptop for that price, because Apple will purposely charge you a lot of money to do that kind of damage repair. So you definitely want to make sure you're insured. I can't, you know, and that's true of any Apple device, any device you have, period. You want to make sure that you're covered for damage. So
no, my question, but if we purchase the MacBook from school, will the school be taking care of that when dealing with Apple Store, or we still need to bring that to Apple
no,
Store?
you'll have to still bring it to the Apple Store. We can help you in, you know, finding the right place, setting up an appointment, but yeah, it's your responsibility to, you know, to take it and get it fixed.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, but we can help you in terms of setting it up and, you know, setting up an appointment and whatnot. Anybody else with questions? I'm looking, it depends what screen I look at to see. I've got, let's see, let's check the chat. Can you buy your, yes, you can buy your own MacBook. Yeah, if you, you know, based on the specs that I showed you, yes, that's one of the options, is to bring your own. But again, we kind of have to, you know, we have to know that. So, because I think we were, you know, if we haven't heard from you, if you didn't fill out that survey and you didn't answer, you know, our repeated requests, then that's, you know, that's a little bit of a problem, because we need to know exactly, you know, what your intentions are, to make sure you're set for the first day of school. Can they get any case for both? Yeah, you know what? Any case, we used to give you a plastic shell for the MacBook, but it really wasn't that great. And I used to use them myself, and I would break them rather quickly. I know, like, spec makes it good, but the more you pay for it, the more rugged it's going to be. So the MacBook is up to you. You can use If you don't want to use our case for the iPad, you can, I would say, an OtterBox, because those are rugged, or Griffin. Those are really, two good ones. The more expensive your case is, most likely it's going to protect your device better. Okay. You can use headphones. It's funny how things have changed since, when I first started working at Bergen, like headphones weren't even allowed. But yeah, you can use headphones. Most teachers don't have a problem with that. You're using your devices pretty much in every class. Excuse me, whether you're using them for your textbooks, whether you're creating stuff with your MacBook, you're using them in every class. It really is an integral part of how this year, for example, because of COVID, we didn't print. So we made it through a whole year without any student submitting a printed assignment. If they did, they were printing at home because they weren't printing at Bergen Catholic. And it's actually something we're kind of proud of. And I think we're going to continue that, because we made it through since March of 2020 without having any homework submitted on paper. So I think we're going to be able to do that going forward. So it is an integral part of, how do you submit work and types of assignments that you do. I've used every day in class. It's not just that they're a resource. They're just part of how you learn, whether you're creating something, whether you're writing, whether you are using a spreadsheet, whether you're doing research on a website, whether you're using an instructional website. There's so many different pieces that it just becomes, part of what you do. It's not like it's not like a sidecar. It's an integral part of the learning process. iPad case with stand is not required. Does not have to have a stand. Some people swear by them. I'm not a fan. That's up to you. The other thing I want to say before I forget too, you can bring. At one point, we used to require along the lines of the case. You can use whatever bag you want. I would suggest getting. I've been using Swiss Gear for a number of years now. Ella Bean, there's a bunch of people that make a good, solid laptop backpack. Or if you use a messenger bag, most kids use a backpack. But make sure that it's, that'll protect the device that you have in there. Can we have multiple accounts on the laptop if it is a device from home? No, in terms, you can only have one Apple ID on there and multiple accounts. Remember that while you may have, it might be your device, you're subject to the rules of our network. Okay. So you're also subject to the rules of, the school and of the classroom teacher. So it's not something that just because it's your device from home doesn't mean that the rules change. Do either device come with headphones? They don't. If you need headphones, I've been using AirPods only because I hate having a wire in front of me. It's not like you need to go out and get something that's multiple hundreds of dollars. You could have a basic set of headphones if you need them, but that'll depend on. It depends on what you may need them for. Some teachers will say, listen, if you want to listen to music while you're working, you can put your headphones in. Sometimes we find that if we're doing Zoom and whatnot, it's better for everybody to have their headphones in. Like even now, like I'm home by myself, but I have my AirPods in so that I'm not creating an echo using the microphone and then my external speakers. So you don't have to, you don't need a certain type of headphone. Actually, you don't need them at all unless, somebody says they're required. You get to keep your devices. Yes, they are yours once you purchase them. They are yours, but subject to Bergen's rules while you're a student. And then once you leave, then they become your property. Any other questions I can answer? Wow, those are all good questions. Let me just I'm going to put the schedule back up again. So I'll be the last one to leave the Zoom if anybody's got any other questions. But our next session will be on June 22nd in 2 weeks, and our plan is for PowerSchool and Naviance. Now, the only way that could change is if I don't have somebody. If PowerSchool will be ready, and I think we'll be good with those two topics. So, and again, we'll get you a recording of this out at some point, in the next couple of days. You've got the link to the slides. Reach out to the help desk if you have any problems. like I said, I'll be the last one to go. If anybody has any questions, sure, you raise them now. Otherwise, thank you for attending. I hope you have a great night, a great rest of your school year, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spiegel. It's been helpful.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.